So on to our first speaker of the morning. And our first speaker joins us all the way from Kenya. Clubs in District 1010 have supported the African Sand Dams project for many years. So today we're going to hear about the sand dams from someone who's involved at the other end. Cornelius Kailo Mathika is the head of African Sand Dams Foundation, who build dams with the communities on behalf of Excellent Development and Rotary. Since 2010, the African Sand Dam Foundation, a Kenyan non-governmental organisation, has worked with villagers in the Makueni area to build rock catchment systems, taking advantage of the local geography to make themselves more water secure. Chilo has been working with rural communities for 18 years, and when he's not working with communities in Kenya, he likes to spend his time on the farm. So please welcome, all the way from Kenya, Chilo Mathika.
Thank you very much for the great introduction, Rob. And thank you again for having me speak during this conference. I'd like to share my screen. Oh, everyone can see the screen?
Yes.
So I'm ready to go on. So the work in Southeast Kenya is more about supporting rural communities to become resilient, and this is against issues to do with water shortage and food insecurity. Just a brief introduction about Africa Sand Dam Foundation. It was founded in 2010 and then registered to operate in Kenya as a charity or as an ungovernmental organization. We have our offices in Mutitandei, Kenya, that is 252 kilometers south of Nairobi. Then the geographical coverage is in the counties of Machakos, Makueni, and Kitui. The current staff numbers are 52, and we work with the UK charity, Excellent Development, where most of the funds through the Rotary clubs have been channeled through to support the work in Southeast Kenya. Our shared vision is that soil and water conservation in the drylands enables millions of rural communities to transform their own lives. And basically, we understand the challenges that the drylands face. They are faced with frequent droughts, which result from the variability in weather patterns affecting rainfall patterns, and where we have long dry spells within these drylands, so impacting the livelihoods of the communities that live within the drylands. So I'll briefly talk about the strategy of intervention. So our strategy of intervention is based on the community-led development approach. And this is just like the theory of change. What do we do with the communities in Southeast Kenya to enable them change their lives, and especially around water access, and enabling them to have increased household food production that they can consume at home, and also get to have access to markets to sell the excess. So within this approach, we work with rural communities who have organized themselves into several groups or communities coming together so that they can address the common challenges that they face in their own areas. And in these areas, I've just said the common challenge that the communities face is issues to do with the water scarcity. And then because of the low rainfalls in the area, they also face challenges with food production. So basically you find that they come together so that they can address the challenges around water and the challenges around food. So the main actors or the main people at the center of this development are the rural communities in Southeast Kenya, where they have already organized themselves so that they can address the challenges that they face. And how do they address the challenges that they face? In terms of having access to water, the communities work together to build sand dams, school water tanks, rock catchments, and also distributing the water from the sand dams. And this is through the support that comes from the various clubs who work closely with excellent development. One of the other things that these farmers are doing is managing the natural resources so that they can be able to attain resilience. And the activities that these farmers carry out are soil conservation through digging terraces, and basically is to ensure that the soil is not being washed away and remains productive when the rains come, and to support the ecosystems. Then the planting of trees, and then the use of energy saving stoves, where they are contributing to less withdrawal of the plant products that they need. And this is firewood. And then the reclamation of pasture that is going to support their livelihoods, especially those who are both doing crops and they're also keeping livestock. So this all enables the communities to be able to manage their resources in a sustainable way. Then around food production, the communities are working together with the support that they get to, number one, acquire skills on agricultural practices that are going to be resilient to the changes that are faced in the drylands. And then the other thing is that the communities plant drought-tolerant food crops. These are crops that are able to adapt to the low rainfall, to the rainfall variability, so that they can be able to grow to maturity within the shortest time possible. And then the other thing is enabling the communities to understand what other options are there for them to be able to also support their food production. And it's through the livestock projects that are also adaptable to the local environment. So it's more about doing everything that is adaptable to the environment where these communities live. And then once these communities produce, and then the opportunities that come with water, they are able to produce surplus that can get to the market. And to enable the communities sell their surplus to the market, we are working with the communities to enable them understand issues to do with the marketing. What are the dynamics around marketing, so that they can be able to get better monies or better pay for the produce that they produce. The other thing that we are enabling with the communities to have access to in the rural areas is the access to loans and credits. But this is through the village savings and loan schemes. So this is one of the challenges that the communities also get to face in the rural areas, access to loans and credit, so that they can also be able to produce for themselves. So it's supporting them to be able to manage the small village savings and loan schemes that they initiate in a sustainable way. So it's all working with the communities through these various activities to enable them have access to water, manage their natural resources in a sustainable way, enable food production, and then enable access to the markets. And all these opportunities are created by the work that they do around enabling them to have secure water sources. So just to continue with the strategy, it's more about communities coming together and addressing the challenges that they face. Then they work hard so that they themselves address the challenges. We only come in to support and enable that process of the communities working together, having defined the challenges that they face, so that they can address them. So the context that we operate in, I've just mentioned a few of the issues around the dryland environments. See that these are environments that are characterized by severe and frequent droughts. And there are also issues to do with the environmental degradation. When it comes to the issues to do with water, water is scarce in this particular environment, and communities have to walk long distances, spend a long time as they walk to the nearest water points, and they also queue to collect the water that they can take home. Then when the rains come, the water flows within a very short time, and then the communities get back to the cycle of having to find the water. So climate extremes, high risk of crop failure resorting to food insecurity, low access to clean and safe water, then long distances, as I've just said. We have the communities in Kitui County doing 7 kilometers on average to the nearest water point. Makueni and Machakos, they do 5 kilometers on average. Then we have poor agricultural practices and issues to do with acute malnutrition. So this is the kind of an area that we operate in. So the thematic areas of intervention. So to enable water access, just as I mentioned from slide 4, there are those projects that we implement with the communities to enable them create water access, enable them harvest and store the water during the rain season. And this includes the sand dams, the rock catchments, rainwater harvesting infrastructure in schools. And also another aspect of enabling access to water is understanding the quality of the water that the community have access to, looking into its quality. Then there's the protection of natural resources. So working with the communities to plant trees, terracing of the land, soil and water conservation, the promotion of energy saving stops, and the pasture management. One of the other thematic area is around disaster risk reduction. And this is the establishment of community level systems and contingency plans, preparedness through the community managed disaster risk reduction. So it's working with the community so that they can define the challenges that they face in the areas. What are the risks that these communities face? And then they work together so that they can come up with the solutions to the challenges or the risks that frequently affect them in their own area. And then enabling them to learn from other communities on what they have done to be successful. Then on food security, I mentioned about the agricultural practices that we're working on with the communities to enable them produce more food. And with a key focus of the drought-tolerant food crops and agricultural practices that are adaptable to the local environment. So we're also working with the communities to enable access to markets. And this is the promotion of market analysis and value chains, so as to understand what are the changes within the market so that the communities can take advantage of that, and especially focusing on the local economy. Then there's the capacity development and advocacy. This is more about enabling the communities to be able to voice out their voices and get to work with other actors within the area of operation. And the key focus is with the national and county governments. So the next slides will just be examples of the projects or showing the different projects that we work with the communities, so I'll not spend a lot of time on them. So we have the sand dams, which are basically focused on water access. We have the roof catchment in schools. So from the sand dams, the communities can be able to collect the water through shallow wells or hand pumps, which is one of the ways that water is abstracted from the sand dams. We have the rock catchments. Then we have the protection of natural resources through the terracing of farmlands. The planting of multipurpose trees. food production projects that are enabled by sand dams, because communities have access to water, they can now grow crops, which they can consume locally, and they can also get to sell. All this is from sand dam areas where communities have worked to implement sand dams. Then there's the growing of and diversity of crops, or crops that are adaptable to the local environment. And examples here are the millets and the sorghums, which do well with the little rainfall that is received in this particular area. We also have the livestock projects, and basically here we are looking at enabling the farmers to get better breeds or improve their local breeds to more better producing breed, and the focus is on milk and meat. Goats here provide milk, and the goat milk is really nutritious, and especially in the drylands where it's quite a challenge to keep the cattle, because the cattle require a lot of food, but the goats being processed, they require less to survive in the arid and semi-arid lands. So to support hygiene, we are working with communities and in schools to promote safe hygiene, and especially through trainings. So why do we focus on sand dams? So sand dams enable a number of opportunities, both for the individual communities and also at a wider scale. So sand dams contribute to water security. They contribute to soil and water conservation. Food security is just seen from the crops that farmers are able to grow from the sand dams. And it's also part of the integrated water resource management. And then finally being overall able to contribute to sustainable development. Then when we look at sand dams, they are also responsible or contributing to issues to do with the combating desertification, enabling adaptation to issues to do with the climate variability, then the conservation of biodiversity. So when the sand dams are built, environmental regeneration, enabling new trees and new animals, all animals to recolonize the areas that have not been colonized. And then, of course, now looking at issues to do with conflict over resources, and especially water, where pastoralists and agriculturists, when they come together to access the same point for water, you find that there are conflicts. So this helps to resolve the challenges with water in the drylands. So we say that sand dams are the most cost effective way for rainwater harvesting, because number one is that they virtually require zero maintenance and operation cost once they are built, and especially when they are built well. We talk of effective sand dams. It is not just sand dams. There are so many sand dams out there, but you find that some of them are not effective because they were not built right, they were not designed right, they were not sited right. So here we are talking about sand dams being sited, designed, and built correctly so that they can serve the communities for the next 50 to 100 years, being able to provide that precious commodity, which is water. Then they provide clean water within 30 minutes of people's homes or shorter distances, and then people spending less time. And then one of the greatest advantages is that the water is protected from contamination, parasites, and evaporation. We always say that below 1 meter of the sand, there is virtually no evaporation. So you find that once the dam is built, it's mature or well covered with the sand, as we can see from the slide. The amount of sand that is held behind the dam, that stores the water within the sand. And then you find that due to the sand's heat, below 1 meter, there is no evaporation, so people are able to access that water from the sand dams. So how do sand dams work? So sand dams being reinforced concrete walls, which are built across seasonal river channels, is that they store the sand behind the dam wall. So the sand that is stored behind the dam wall is what captures and stores water during the rain season. So you find that, like from this slide, we have the bedrock of a seasonal river channel. Then once it rains, the water flows through the river channel, and at the point where the dam is built, the sand settles behind the dam wall, creating a new sandy riverbed. So we say that 1 to 3% of water flowing downstream is retained behind the wall. And this is the water that the communities are able to access once the rains are over. So you find that behind the reinforced concrete wall, when the river channel is flowing, the sand that is carried downstream by the water settles behind the dam wall. And this is what stores water. So the next one is just to talk about the percentages of the water that is stored behind the dam wall. So 25 to 40% of the volume of what is stored behind the dam wall is water. And this is what the communities can abstract. So the next slides is some of the projects that District 1010 has supported. So this is a sand dam which was built in 2020, supported by District 1010, and this is Kapili Sewer Group in Makueni County. So the dam is a few seasons old, so it is not yet mature. Once it's mature, it's going to be fully covered with the sand, enabling the storage of quite small volumes of water behind the dam wall. So we have a dam in Kitui County for a group known as Tiatito Sewer Group, again supported by District 1010. So let's see the impact of what Rotary has said in Southeast Kenya. So up to the end of March 2021, we have had 69 sand dams built in Southeast Kenya through the support of Rotary clubs, and with an investment of $1.3 million US. And this has come in as a result of an investment from over 200 Rotary clubs, enabling 132,000 people have access to safe water. The next slide is one of the community members speaking about their challenges with water and what has happened to their lives with access to water. So this is a farmer from Kitui County, Tiatito, which I said the farmers in that area walk an average of 7 kilometers in a day to be able to have access to water. So their expression of how difficult it has been without access to water or without an improved water source. And then today, with the access to water. So Ms. Mutemi says, the construction of the dam has provided us with a lot of water, which I have utilized to do farming in my farm along the river. I have been able to plant kales and spinach, which are all doing well. They are available for my family use to help improve our eating habits and as well selling the surplus to fund other family activities. So the opportunities that come with access to water, farmers being able to grow more food for themselves and being able to sell the surplus. This is a real impact. And when you sit and listen to the farmers tell it, it really touches your heart. So finally, thank you very much for the support that has been provided to the rural communities in Southeast Kenya through the Rotary clubs. If you wish to get in touch, we have some contacts that can enable you to get in touch. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kylo. Congratulations on the incredible work that you're doing, and thanks so much for what you're giving back to your local communities. We have a few minutes if anyone has any questions for Kylo. Are there any questions in the chat? Has anyone seen, or does anyone want to ask anything?
If people want to raise their hands, we'll see that in the participants list and we can ask that questions.
Can I just ask a question, Kylo?
Yes, you can.
Has COVID had much an impact in Kenya?
Yes, COVID has had an impact in Kenya. So we have had, number one, people being able to lose their source of livelihoods, and these is employment, because the institutions they worked for were not able to continue to support them being on employment. So that has been a challenge. And then, of course, we have had a number of people being able to lose their lives from COVID. But one thing that we really are happy about is that the impact has not been that tough in Southeast Kenya, apart from just the communities being able to either lose income that would usually come from people who are working in Nairobi. But the community systems in Southeast Kenya have remained intact with minimal disturbances.
Thanks for that. I have a question first up. John Milne, please.
Please.
Thank you, Arthur. Cornelius, this shows my ignorance. I've always tried to work out in the most driest of dry land areas, where does the actual water come from? By the very nature, you need some kind of water. So if you're in the very driest areas, where does the actual initial water come from?
Rain. Rain.
I haven't clearly gotten you.
Yeah, I've got it. Is it just rainfall?
Kylo, you're muted.
Cornelius is muted.
Yes, sorry about that. So I was saying what we are trying to do in Southeast Kenya is to harvest and store rainwater in the rain season, so that the farmers can be able to access it during the dry season.
Can I come in here?
Yes, please.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Having been very involved since 2005 with Nyumbani in Nyumbani village in Kitui district near Kwavonza, I've seen it firsthand and watched the development of our village sand dams. What an amazing difference they have made to the lives of all our villagers. I can fully endorse anything Cornelius has been telling us this morning, or everything that Cornelius has been telling us this morning. And this is an excellent project to support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alison.
Do you know Nyumbani village?
Yes, I have been there. I have visited to see the sand dams that they have constructed.
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alison. Phil Ross at Kirriemuir.
Thank you, Cornelius. On one of your slides, I think you said that you'd built 69 sand dams. And I just wondered how many sandy riverbeds are suitable for sand dams and how many more is it worth building?
So one of the things that I haven't brought the whole picture about the work that we have done in Southeast Kenya is Africa Sand Dam Foundation. So we are now on our 539 sand dam in Southeast Kenya. So you can have a feel of how much you can do. So there are so many river channels in Southeast Kenya that have not yet been reached. Communities that have not been reached are really quite a lot of them who have also created interest. So you can really do quite a lot in the area.
Right, so a really long-term project, and this can go on for some time.
Yes, exactly.
Well, brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Jeff Clark, please.
Thanks. Thank you, Cornelius. Excellent presentation. Back in 2012, 2013, I headed up one of the first sand dam projects for Rotary Club of Aldershot, Rushmore and Hart for a village of Waimu, W-A-I-M-U. Just wondered if there was any possibilities of getting an update of how it was all going.
Yeah, the community is doing. Yeah, the community is doing well. Maybe if we can spend some time and provide some additional updates to these particular projects.
That would be brilliant if we could, because obviously I do presentations to our club from time to time, and they say, well, what's happening now? And it would be nice to be able to get an update, because it was 10 years ago now, and be interesting to know how it had gone.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you. Brian Johnson, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Carlo. Thank you for your presentation. Just a quick question. Do the sand dams cause problems downstream by stopping the water?
Thank you very much for your question. The sand dams do not cause a problem downstream by stopping water. What you find is that we are only holding 1 to 3% of the river flow during the rain season. And the other issue is that these sand dams are built along seasonal river channels, which do not flow with water throughout the year. So they are not really mega projects that stop the flow of river channels and deny downstream users access to water.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kylo. I don't think there are any more questions. I think there are any more hands up that I see. But thank you so much for your talk. It was very, very fascinating, and I'm sure we'll continue our support as we have done for the Sand Dams project within District 1010. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much too.